Thank you. Honorable members, you recall that on 20th of March 2025, this House passed a resolution authorizing government to borrow euro equivalent of US dollars 190,988,556 from Stanbic for the UMEME limited buyout. This amount was conditioned to the confirmation of the actual monetary amount of UMEME's investment by the Auditor General. This morning, the Auditor General submitted the special audit report for the end of lease and assignment agreement between UMEME Limited and Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited. It was submitted today morning. And the Auditor General has verified and confirmed the buyout amount of United States dollars 118,385,603 against the amount we approved of 190,988,556, which we had conditioned to this special audit. I will now invite the Parliamentary Commissioner to table the report. Then I'll guide further.
I beg to lay on table the special audit report for the end of lease and assignment agreement between UMEME Limited and Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited. I lay, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Minister of Finance. Honorable colleagues, since we conditioned the approval to this audit, and the Auditor General has given a varying amount by a big margin, we need government to put into consideration this audit when they are finalizing with UMEME. Therefore, this can only be done if this report is adopted by the House, so that it's a document of the House, since the Auditor General is part of the House. So I now want to put the question that the House adopts the recommendation. Please, a Minister of Finance is a member of Parliamentary Commission. Okay? Please. Okay? How do you? Yeah, please. This is a report of the Auditor General, who is part of the House. Okay? I don't want to subject it to debate. We just want this report to go to government, so that now for us we have finished our part, because the approval of the round was conditioned to this special audit. So I don't know what's, I don't know procedure.
Mr. Speaker, we have never passed a report of the Auditor General we have not read. This, Mr. Speaker, is going to be the first in modern history of Parliament that a report can be read there and MPs pass it without even seeing it. So the procedural issue I am raising, Mr. Speaker, because the rules governing committees, we have accountability committees that deal with these reports and then report, and we adopt as advised. So, Mr. Speaker, the procedural issue is whether now you have waived those particular rules, and now reports can be brought here and we pass them without even knowing and looking at them, Mr. Speaker.
LoP.
I am a little flummoxed because we were here as Parliament and we appropriated 190.9 million US dollars. We protested that, firstly, because there was no Auditor General's report. It carried the day. We are now being told that there is an Auditor General's report mentioning 118 million US dollars. Honorable Speaker, you're saying we should adopt the Auditor General's report and hand it over to government. I don't know how that gets to apply, because are we then handing over the appropriation role to government? I thought it is this House, Honorable Speaker, that appropriates. We appropriated 190.9 million US dollars in error. in error because there was no Auditor General's report. Now we have the Auditor General's report. Perhaps we should be rescinding the other and then appropriating a new figure, as opposed to just passing the Auditor General's report and then we say, government, we are trusting you, perhaps to bring back the balance, to take it back to where. I don't know how that gets to apply. But also, Right Honourable Speaker, I think it would be prudent that the Auditor General's report is, number one, verified, studied. The Auditor General is part of Parliament. And on an annual basis, the Auditor General gives us report as Parliament. We send them to accountability committees, they are scrutinized, and all of that, because the Auditor General's report needs to be studied. They do work for us as Parliament. So before we pass it, it would be good that we know, as colleagues are saying, what is in that report, can we ascertain? So that we don't have too many runnings, because now there's 190, now 118, we might discover it should even be less, Right Honourable.
Thank you. Now, honourable colleagues, begin with, these are not annual reports, which must go to the committee. These are special audit reports. Annual reports are the ones provided for under our rules of procedure that they need to go to committee. That's number one. Number two, this is a time-bound report, which you yourselves, when you are passing the resolution, I think was it 2 weeks ago? Yes, on 20th of March, okay? You conditioned to this report. Not you processing and going through this, but conditioned it to this report. And mind you, we must sort with UMEME by 31st of March. Okay? By 31st of March, which is Monday? Is it Monday? Is it Monday? Yeah. So now what it means, if by then we have not yet pronounced ourselves on this report of the Auditor General, government will continue with what we pass. Because they don't know about it. They don't know about it. They don't have it. Okay? The government has a figure. Government has a figure presented to us. We passed. And now the Auditor General has said, no, the amount was higher. We have verified it should be reduced by this amount. And this is an office of government. So the timeline is honourable colleagues. Otherwise, what do I lose by referring it to the committee? I would love that. But now, if we are to beat the deadline of 31st of March, which is next month, that is in the contract, whereby if we don't settle by that timeline, remember we get a blank check to start tripling and doing what in terms of interest and penalty. So you don't have much. Honourable Kanya?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I was a chairperson of as accountability committees in Africa. Government, Tanzania, Kenya, South Africa, are not stopped from implementing the report of Auditor General. In fact, in Tanzania, the government, once the report comes out, they implement and then report to Parliament as Parliament discusses. So it is the wish of government and also the role of Parliament, the way we decide we want to move. Special audit report has issues of criminal nature. In some countries, the government does not need to wait. But also, this report, which is time-bound, what we are requesting, Right Honourable Speaker, that you invoke the necessary rules so that when the House takes position, the operation is within our rules. But also, government needs to look at the practice that has been adopted, that government does not need to wait for Parliament before you implement the report of Auditor General. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and I agree with you, especially this is a special audit report that has been requested by Parliament, not provided that the Auditor General must have done this under the law or what, and we are time bound. So, honourable colleagues, the decision is ours, whether we want government in its final settlement with UMEME to consider this report or not. Colleagues, I now put the question that the House adopts the recommendation of the Auditor General as contained in the special audit report for the end of lease and assignment agreement between UMEME Limited and Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Clerk, please extract this resolution and ensure it reaches government today. It reaches the government today so that it is considered in their final discussion with UMEME.
Section 13(3), 9, 10, and 11 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 and Rule 148 of the Rules of procedure.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, pursuant to Article 155 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, Section 12(3) of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 and Rule 148 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, I beg to lay the annual budget estimates for financial year 2025-2026. They are in 3 volumes. Volume 1 covers central government votes. I beg to lay. Volume 2 covers, Volume 1 covers, it's part 1, it covers votes 001 to vote 1700, and volume part 2 covers vote 1701 to vote 3426. These are both central government votes. Volume 2 covers all local government votes. I beg to lay. Right Honorable Speaker, I also wish to lay Volume 3, which covers the state-owned enterprises and public corporations. I beg to lay. Mr. Speaker, the annual budget is accompanied by the following other documents. One is the Appropriations Bill 2025, which I laid earlier. 2 is Statement of Multi-Year Commitments of Government. Mr. Speaker, I wish to lay the following documents that accompany the budget. 1 is Certificate of Gender and Equity Compliance for the draft estimates of revenue and expenditure. I beg to lay. 2 is Statement attesting to the reliability and completeness of the budget estimates of revenue and expenditure for financial year 2025-2026. I wish to lay. Number 3 is the Certificate of Climate Change Responsiveness Budget Framework. Certificate of Climate Change Responsiveness to the Budget Framework paper. I wish to lay. I also wish to lay, Mr. Speaker, the Certificate of Compliance to the annual budget by National Planning Authority. I wish to lay. Mr. Speaker, I also wish to lay the Certificate of Financial Implications for the estimates of revenue and expenditure for financial year 2025-2026. I beg to lay. Right Honorable Speaker, I also beg to lay the list of accounting officers for financial year 2025-2026, covering all votes of government. I also beg to lay Uganda's multi-year commitment statement for financial year 2025-2026 and the performance of multi-year commitments for financial year 2023-2024 and 2024-2025. I beg to lay. Mr. Speaker, also I wish to lay the budgets of the self-accounting institutions. And to begin with is the budget estimates for statutory vote 101, judiciary for financial year 2025-2026. I beg to lay. If I can have access to the documents I submitted. In the meantime, no, it's okay. I am sorry. Somehow they were put together as one document. Mr. Speaker, I read judiciary. The next budget for statutory is the budget estimates for vote 102, Electoral Commission for financial year 2025-2026. Mr. Speaker, I also lay the budget estimates for vote 103, Inspectorate of Government for financial year 2025-2026. Next is the budget estimates for statutory vote 104, Parliamentary Commission for financial year 2025-2026. I beg to lay. Next is budget estimates for statutory vote 105, Uganda Law Reform Commission for financial year 2025-2026. I beg to lay. Next is budget estimates for statutory vote 106, Uganda Human Rights Commission for financial year 2025-2026. I beg to lay. Next is budget estimates for statutory vote 107, Uganda AIDS Commission for financial year 2025-2026. I beg to lay. Next is budget estimates for statutory vote 108, National Planning Authority for financial year 2025-2026. I beg to lay. Next is budget estimates for statutory vote 131, Office of the Auditor General for financial year 2025-2026. I beg to lay. Mr. Speaker, with all the votes mentioned, I beg to lay on table. I also wish to lay the medium-term debt management strategy for financial year 2025-2026 to financial year 2028-2029. I beg to lay. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the Treasury Memoranda on the report of Parliament on the report of the Auditor General for financial year ended 30th June 2023 for Central Government Votes, Volume 2. I beg to lay. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the Treasury Memoranda for report of on the report of Parliament on the report of the Auditor General for financial year ended 30th June 2023, Volume 3, Missions Abroad. I beg to lay. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the Treasury Memoranda on the report of Parliament on the report of the Auditor General for financial year ended 30th June 2023, Volume 4, Public Universities, Referral Hospitals, and Specialized Health Facilities. I beg to lay. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the Treasury Memoranda on the report of Parliament on the report of the Auditor General for financial year ended 30th June 2023. This is repeated. This is Volume 4, Public Universities, Referral Hospitals, and Specialized Health Facilities. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay Treasury Memoranda on the report of Parliament on the report of the Auditor General for the financial year ended 30th June 2023, Volume 5, Local Governments. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the report on public debt, grants, guarantees, and other financial liabilities for financial year 2024-2025. I beg to lay. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the Consolidated Board of Survey Disposal Report for the financial year ended 30th June 2024 local governments. I beg to lay. Right Honorable Speaker, accompanying the estimates is also the Petroleum Fund report, the semi-annual report of inflows, outflows, and assets of the fund for the period ended 31st December 2024. I beg to lay. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the tax expenditure report for the period July 2024 to March 2025 for financial year 2024-2025. I beg to lay. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the macroeconomic development and fiscal prospects for financial year 2024-2025 and financial year 2025-2026. I beg to lay. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay a consolidation for disposal for missions abroad for Uganda Mission at the United Nations, New York. I beg to lay. Right Honorable Speaker, what does the financial year 2025-2026 or what have I laid? Mr. Speaker, the theme of this year's budget remains as last year, which is full monetization of Uganda's economy through commercial agriculture, industrialization, expanding and broadening services, digital transformation, and market access. Right Honorable Speaker, the total budget for financial year 2025-2026 amounts to to Uganda shillings 71 trillion 956 billion 621 million 530.
Procedure.
There was a time here in the past when this copy and paste, government forgot to remove the word Guyana in their budget. The Honorable Musasizi, the statement he's reading has 2024-2025 budget. Is he proceeding well by regurgitating documents relating to the budget of this financial year, but claiming and misleading Parliament that he has got 2025, 2026, and is displaying them, reading 2024?
Honourable Minister, you asked us a question that what have I read on table? What have you laid
Mr.
down?
Speaker, I am sorry for this typo, but when I was reading, I was careful. I corrected and read financial year 2025-2026. Mr. Speaker, the resource envelope for financial year 2025-2026 will be 71 trillion 956 billion 621 million 530,685 Uganda shillings. Right Honorable Speaker, the next year's budget is focused on growing the economy tenfold through the ATMs and the enablers as follows. 1. Agro-industrialization. 2. Tourism development. 3. Mineral-based industrialization. And 4. Science, technology, innovations, including ICT and creative art industry. And are the following. 1. Maintaining peace, security, and rule of law. 2. Human capital development, including health, education, water, and social protection. Full monetization of economy as number 3 through PDM. 4. Infrastructure development. Here we are looking at roads, railway, and electricity. 4. Regional integration. 5. Irrigation through bulk water to stabilize agriculture. 7. Manufacturing with focus on industrial parks. 8. Eliminating corruption. And 9. Environmental and natural resources conservation and protection. And 10. Vertical and horizontal integration of our economy. Right Honorable Speaker, in this budget, we have attended to crucial issues that were raised by Cabinet, Parliament, and NRM Parliamentary Caucus and the Presidential Advisory Committee on Budget at the National Budget Framework Paper. We have also addressed other critical policy commitments, mainly in domestic areas, agriculture, health, education, including the AFCON 2027, Electoral Commission, and the General Elections Roadmap, wage shortfalls in the local governments, and finished infrastructure projects due to counterpart funding amidst the constrained fiscal space. Mr. Speaker, we shall continue to provide for other critical areas as we go through this process. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, before I come to the last, I beg to lay the semi-annual budget performance report for financial year 2024-2025, Volume 1 and Volume 2, which is covering votes 306 to 617. I beg to lay. Mr. Speaker, lastly, I want to commit on behalf of the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development that we shall provide total support to Parliament and the relevant committees during the process of consideration of this budget. I submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. In line with Section 13(2) of the PFMA and Rule 148 of our Rules of Procedure, refer the draft budget estimates and the attendant documents that have accompanied it to the Committee on Budget and sectoral committees, so that each sectoral committee can pick out their area of relevancy, process and report back by 8th of April. 8th of April, we need these reports submitted to the to the clerk, so that we can be able to put them on the order paper, and we process them here and they go to the budget committee. Honorable colleagues, on the issue of UMEME, since we've gotten varying figures, the Minister of Energy will be required to come back here and report back on what they would have paid UMEME, okay, on what they would have paid to UMEME and how they agreed on that amount, since the Auditor General has guided. House adjourned to 9th of April, 2 p.m.